senior day, I think. So, but it's nice that we managed to fit it in. And thank you for taking the time out of your day to come here and to honor our seniors. And also thank you to our administration, the assistant coaches, everyone else who's been involved with pulling this off today. Our team parents, Wendy Kuppenheimer and Recky Morton, thank you guys for all your efforts with everything this year as well. First off, we have Zach Aycock. Zach is a very talented runner, and it's been amazing how much he's been able to contribute to our team across all sorts of events. He never ceases to surprise me. You know, he comes out and just turns in great performances, seemingly at will, whenever he needs to, and has really been a strong contributor for us throughout his career. Thank you very much, Zach Aycock. Next we have Raphael Cruz. Raph is such a stand-up character guy, and I'm sorry that we didn't get to see more of him this year. We really missed his leadership, but you know, circumstances being what they were this year, nothing is normal. So you know, but I'm glad to have him out here today. And just to comment on Raph's character, he has come and talked to me about the situations that have been going on, and he just shows so much character in terms of wanting to deal with things in an appropriate way, and that really means a lot to me as a coach, and just shows what kind of a person he is, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, Raph. All right, next we have Aaron Morton. Aaron is one of our most dedicated runners. He's so reliable. He's out here when it's 24 degrees and snowing and stuff like that, and he's always here no matter what day it is. And I can always count on him walking up the thing there just like 2 minutes late, but better late than never. And has turned in a lot of really strong performances for us over the years, and it's been really nice for him to be able to say now that he is a school record holder. He took a record away from his older brother this season, so that's always a nice achievement. So congratulations, Aaron, on a great career. Thank you. Next up, we have Charlie Shepard. Charlie's an incredible talent. He could basically be competitive for us in pretty much every event, from the 55 meters to the 1600. I bet if I ever tried to put him in it, he'd probably do pretty well. And all I can say is I wish I would have had him on the team even sooner than we did. He's a strong competitor. He works so hard in practice and is an inspiration to so many of the athletes on the team. So thank you very much, Charlie. Next up is Jacob Tinkleman. Jacob's another one of these people that is incredibly dedicated, really dependable, will do anything to help the team, and he works so hard no matter what we ask him to do. And just testament to he'll do shot put in a meet, but then he'll run the 1600 in a meet. He'll run the 400 in a meet. Whatever we need someone, he's willing to step up and do it, and he's willing to practice at whatever we ask him to do as well. So if we've got the hardest workout of the day and he wants to go with the distance guys, he'll go and do that. He'll go and do anything that we ask him, and so that's so important to have on a team like this, a small team like this, someone who will fill those roles. So thank you, Jacob, for always doing that for us. Next up, we have Tess Hanlon. Tess has so much ability. She doesn't really even realize how good that she could be. She undersells what she's capable of constantly, and we're just seeing the glimpse of what she can do. It's been such a pleasure to have her on the team. She's such a strong competitor, and she's been a good guide for some of our younger girls. It's been great to have her, like we're working with Chloe and stuff this year. So thank you very much, Tess. All right. Next up, we have Sophie Tannen. Right. Sophie is, probably no one would deny is our heart and soul. She's our social media coordinator. She's the top cheerleader. She shows up to a meet that she's not even competing at and spends all day there just to support her teammates. And, that just says a lot about what kind of a person Sophie is. I think we all know that. And what's extra nice is that, not only has Sophie really contributed in that manner this year, but she also now, with Chloe, established a school record in the high jump relay. So great job, Sophie. Congratulations. Thank you for everything you've done. All right, and our last senior is Nyla Gordon-Crocker. All right. Okay. And Nyla is so talented, and I always will wonder what Nyla could have been capable of if she would have stayed injury-free for her entire career. That's been obviously the biggest thing that's been a challenge for her. And but the fact that she's, so many people would have given up after all that she's gone through to get to this point. But the fact that as soon as she was able to, she was back on the track says so much about what kind of a person she is. So thank you very much, Nyla, for everything you've done. All right, and thank you guys. Warm up and we'll
Okay, so that was the 400-meter girls. Welcome back live to Play-by-Play Productions. You're watching Morristown-Beard track and field today. This is a winter session outdoor meet against the Gilsane Bernards Knights. Good afternoon and welcome everybody. It's senior day. 8 seniors were honored. As you just watched on our live stream, the 400-meter girls just concluded, and Chloe Higgins of Morristown-Beard was victorious in that, with Michaela Kroon and Emma Hercules also running the 400-meter girls from Gilsane Bernards. Next up, Zach Levine from Morristown-Beard in lane 2, Charlie Shepard in lane number 4 for Morristown-Beard, Chris Kolb in lane 1 for Gilsane Bernards, and Dylan Weaver in lane number 3, and the 400 boys underway. Charlie Shepard is one of those captains, as Shepard starts on the outside position in an advantageous lane number 4 spot, and he immediately extends that advantage up to 30 meters. It's just one time around the track. And Zach Levine right behind him, and look at the pace that has been established here. And Charlie Shepard, I should mention, is going with the Ironman look on a very, very frigid afternoon, but this is what it's about, to compete here at the high school level, the high school level. Second year doing track for Charlie Shepard. His primary event is the 400 with his mix of speed and endurance. He'll be a student at Richmond, as Charlie Shepard was honored today, and he does indeed capture the 400-meter boys. And Zach Levine finishes second in his 3rd year doing track, with Chris Kolb finishing in 3rd from Gilsane Bernards, Dylan Weaver from Gill finishing in 4th. We have a total of 8 events scheduled for this afternoon, both boys and girls. Some of them will be scratched out due to low numbers on both sides. Both programs don't have as many girls in participation this year. And of course, in the winter season, it can be so much more difficult to gather athletes, especially with club sports taking place too. Lane number 2, Finn Fleming of Morristown-Beard. Jacob Goldklein is in the middle in the blue for Gilsane Bernards in lane 3. And Jacob Tinkleman, a senior also honored before this track meet and invitational by head coach Scott McCormick. He is in the outside spot in lane 4. And we'll have one more heat scheduled here on the boys 400. Jacob Tinkleman is a senior that will do the shot put on the same day. He'll run a mile. And Scott McCormick, out of all of his comments that he made about this class of 2022, he's the ultimate fill-in guy, that he'll practice something, and if there is a need in an event, he can turn to Jacob Tinkleman at any time. And those utility track runners can be of great significance this year, because simply you just don't know who will show up on game day with virus issues that programs across the nation are dealing with. Tinkleman in lane 4, and he extended and held on to the lead that he had at lane 4 with Jacob Goldklein in lane 3. Finn Fleming finishing 3rd in this second heat in lane number 2. This is a 6-lane track. With the snowstorm that we had just a few days ago, that was last Friday and into Saturday, the outside of the track over on the far right corner, as you watch here at Morristown-Beard School in Morristown, New Jersey, still has enough snow and ice on it, so they're not going to use lanes 5 and 6 just as a precaution. That's the area that just doesn't get enough sunlight. Now, Zach Aycock in lane number 2. In this 3rd heat of the 400, Jawad Travis of Morristown-Beard, he is in lane 4. And this will be the 3rd and final heat. And Aycock with a great pace, about to pass Jawad Travis. And this is a solid pace that could rival what the pace we saw in Heat 1 and 2. We'll have the 55 hurdles coming up, so the two teams will start to set up the hurdles. It is a cold and blustery day. Temperatures are around 40, but it feels even a little colder than that. Aycock kept that great pace, and he in lane 2 is going to coast into the finish line with a very solid time in the first heat of the day. We'll see Zach Aycock later on in other events, including the 800 meter, which would be very interesting in about a half hour from now. Fortunately for these athletes, very little wind. The concern is just some of the drizzle and walking out onto the track. Just talking to Shelley Labar, the head coach of Gill St. Bernard's, who has done such a great job. She ran track as a sprinter at East Stroudsburg Division II program, and she has a strong program, including Gill St. Bernard's has a potential Tournament of Champions winner, Joe Licata, in the shot put that will not participate today. But the concern was from some of her student athletes just how slick the track can be. From a distance perspective, that may not be the case, but here for the sprinters, we'll see if that shaves off some of the times. And there is Shelley. Great to visit with her. And the track program that she has been running at Gill St. Bernard's. She's in her 21st season coaching the sport at Gill. She's helped the program become one of the top teams in the state. They were New Jersey Prep B champions 3 times, most recently in 2014 on the boys' side. The girls' squad has been runner-up twice in 2011, 2012. Several individual non-public B and county championships, and many more that have gone on to compete at the Division II and Division I levels. Shelley's main events was as a sprinter at East Stroudsburg, and she is now the supervisor of health and physical education at Gill. So as they get ready for the 55 hurdles, we're scheduled to have 1 heat for the girls and 1 heat for the boys. And there's the announcement for everybody to get to the start line. There's Scott McCormick. Congrats to Scott for helping pull this together with everything that has been going on, and he is now in his 11th season and now in his 2nd year coaching the winter track and field team here, 11th year overall as the spring track and field coach, and of course there is a lot of crossover between the two. Before coaching here at MBS, an assistant outdoor and indoor track coach for 7 years at the nearby Petty School in Hightstown, and he ran track at Saskatchewan 96 to 2001. So today's weather is sort of like a July day in Saskatchewan, as we might joke with Canadians. He was all Canadian in the 4x400 relay, and he was a sprinter during his time. The girls 55 will be first, and we are scheduled to have 3 runners, 2 from Gill, including Captain Kellen Bucheri. And Bucheri is truly an iron woman for this Gill St. Bernard's program, and she will run multiple events. Phenomenal, strong, and fast. She's also a volunteer EMT, varsity soccer goalie. She always is counted on to do multiple events. She will be in lane 4. And it's going to be Angie Bonaventura will be in lane 2. Chloe Higgins was scheduled for MBS, and looks like Chloe is also getting herself ready. Teammates cannot be in a lane next to one another. Chloe Higgins is a sophomore in her second year doing winter track. And again, for folks that aren't aware, winter track is typically an indoor season. This year it has been an indoor sport, but not every program has, of course, their own indoor facility, and college programs have been not exactly ready to allow high schools to go in fully to their indoor facilities. So at times you'll see, and you might think, okay, that's a little wild that they're having outdoor track at this point, but indeed there are a handful of them taking place. Kellen Bucheri wins the 55. Chloe Higgins ran from the outside for Morristown-Beard in second, and Angie Bonaventura, they're finishing in third from Gill. Kellen Bucheri is also considering the military academies or to enroll, no matter where she ends up in college. There is Kellen to go into the ROTC and serve our country while going to undergrad. She'll also throw the shot put, a hurdler, a sprinter, one of the most focused and versatile track athletes that we have in New Jersey. So that's the 55 girls. Now the 55 boys, as they adjust and make sure that there was no contact made, or all the hurdles are level. In this heat, Gavin Mcavoy of Morristown-Beard is scheduled to be the lone runner. Gavin is just a sophomore, and he's learning the hurdles this year. In the fall, he ran cross country. In the springtime, should, of course, the weather be great enough for it, he'll be a golfer. Will Engelke will be in one lane for Gilsane Bernards, and freshman Harvey Tripp will be in the other. So this will have three. Will Engelke is primarily a sprinter or a hurdler at Gilsane Bernards, and he is new to hurdling, just in his second year doing this event. He ran spring track in the spring of 21 for the first time. And meanwhile, Harvey Tripp, and he is only a freshman, and he finished third in the recent hurdles event. And this might be his specialty as a track athlete. Also going to be likely a JV lacrosse player coming up in the spring of 22 at Gilsane Bernards. So Engelke is in lane 3. Looks like it'll be Tripp in lane 1. Gavin Mcavoy of Morristown-Beard in lane 2. .55 hurdles. Runners are set. And Will Engelke out of the middle. And Engelke very clean through his first two hurdles, and that allows him to separate from Harvey Tripp, his teammate, and Gavin Mcavoy of MBS. So the form there, and fine form for Will Engelke. He finished second in the Prep B championship that took place in January. In the 55-meter hurdles. So we've cleared the 55 hurdles for both boys and girls. Next up will be the 1,600-meter, which is, for the moment, just scheduled to be a boys-only event. 2 boys from Morristown-Beard and 1 from Gill will line up 4 times around the track. And in the bigger picture, folks, it's this is the situation for track programs where programs have been forced to practice outside unless the weather is really, really bad at programs like Morristown-Beard and Gill that don't have their own indoor facility. And Scott McCormick told me, look, even if the weather is really bad, if there's snow on the ground, they'll go to parking lots that have been cleared already, or even residential streets, depending on how well the snow was cleared. If it's really cold, they'll do the stairs inside the high school or in the hallways to do stretching, work on their explosion coming out of a set position. Most meets are indoors, but in this case, indeed, it is an outdoor event. So here it comes, the 1600. Will Kuppenheimer, he's in lane 1. Teammate Andre Chabra is in lane 2. And the lone Gill representative is James O'Brien in the blue. Started in lane 3. So it's Kuppenheimer right now with the now advantage over Andre Chabra. Kuppenheimer is a junior, and the 1600 right here might be his best event. December 30th, he finished 11th at a meet with a time of 5 minutes and 29 seconds, nearly 5.5. 18th in the 1600. That December 30th event that drew. Andre Chabra was also a distance runner, and both he and Will, great friends that participate in the fall cross-country season and spring track. Chabra is considered to be a little bit more of the distance guy at 3,200. He'll be in that event a little bit later. In the 1600, Chabra is not far off from Kuppenheimer, just in their most recent results, December 30th at Drew. And again, that was indoor, so you just never know how a distance runner is going to react in these kind of cold and wet temperatures. Fortunately, there's no wind, and that can also be a great equalizer. But Chabra back on December 30th finished less than 4 seconds behind Will Kuppenheimer. And only about 4 seconds behind Kuppenheimer in the 600 on that day. So they trained together, and their results are very neck and neck, as they are right here in today's 1600 heat. So Kuppenheimer maintaining kind of a healthy 1.5 meter lead. James O'Brien a distant 100 meters behind the Morristown-Beard pairing. Here comes lap 2. There will not be a girls' event in the 1600. Both Gill and Morristown-Beard, not as many numbers this year for winter indoor track as past years. And of course, both programs just on the cusp of the threat of Omicron, having student athletes either not come out for the team or come out for the team and then decide just to pull from it. And we've seen winter sports, basketball included, that have had basically casualties in their numbers. O'Brien still a full about 120 meters behind the Crimson pairing. In the Prep B, Gill St. Bernard's as a team finished in 4th. Morristown-Beard was the defending champion from last year's abbreviated season in the Prep Bs. 2 laps through. It remains Will Kuppenheimer of Morristown-Beard, 1.5 yards ahead of Andre Chabra. From a schedule perspective, it's been basically a normal year. Cancellations in December from Omicron, but 10 indoor meets is exactly what it's been. Most of the meets happening at Drew University in nearby Madison in Morristown. And this is the first ever, quote, indoor meet hosted by Morristown-Beard. But of course it is outdoors, and credit all the parents and friends and family that came out for Senior Day to make this happen. Is now Kuppenheimer, as he approaches the third lap, has now greatly extended over Andre Chabra. And look at the separation. And Kuppenheimer, that was actually the fourth lap, and he finishes with a good 12-meter advantage over Chabra. So he extended in about the last 120 meters. So Will Kuppenheimer victorious there. As we wait for James O'Brien to come down in the final 70 meters. And then we'll proceed along back to sprints in the 200 boys and girls. The Prep B 4-team championship. Newark Academy edged out Pennington narrowly. Gill finished third. Morristown-Beard finished fourth in that 6-team event. So it's pretty close. So that's where coaches will point to that when you have team championships in the preps, whoever may finish second from the bottom instead of last in a given heat, that could be the difference. Those extra points, they matter. Of course, you want to win as many races or events as possible, but whoever can avoid the rear, that matters too. So they line up in the far left corner in the 200-meter girls. In lane 1 will be senior Nyla Gordon-Crocker of Morristown-Beard. Kellen Bucheri, who just handled the 55 hurdles about 10 minutes ago, will be in lane 2. Chloe Higgins, lane 3 of MBS. Sam Leo, lane 4 for Gill St. Bernard's. Tess Hanlon, senior from Morristown-Beard, in lane 5. Sam Leo is a sophomore for Gill, as is Chloe Higgins. And look out for Bucheri in lane 2. But of course, Bucheri has already run an event, while these young ladies have yet to get warmed up. And this is Bucheri on the outside. Bucheri. So she started out in an outside lane, and it is Bucheri that captures it again. So on a cold day like this, sometimes you would say the advantage belongs to the runners that have not had a race yet. But that would be when it's clear and dry and warm conditions. But in this case, I think Bucheri has an advantage because she's already run. And she separated the last 40 meters. So the burst there, as she edged out Chloe Higgins in lane 3 for MBS. We may have 2 runners here for the second heat in the girls, but it looks like it will be indeed just 1. So this is going to be Barb Casperson of Gill St. Bernard's running this 200 by herself. Barb is a sophomore in the Gilsane Burners program. So sometimes when you have too many runners, you'll have the additional heats. In this case, Barb is racing just against her own time. So the 200 girls is complete. The boys is set to have, it appears, 3 heats. And this should be a full house for Heat 1 with all 6 lanes occupied. Look out for Spencer Anderson of Morristown-Beard. He'll be in lane 3. To his left will be Aaron Morton, a senior from Morristown-Beard. And in lane 5, Tristan Miskia of MBS. For Gill, Will Engelke. He's already gotten a race, 2 races under his belt. He'll be in lane 2. Will Strong, tall and long strides for Will. He is in lane 4. And Drew Volrath will be in the outside lane 6. Anderson recently broke the school record in the 55-meter indoors. Here's the 200. So this is a longer sprint, the 200 for Spencer. Anderson. With Tristan Miskia finishing second, and on the inside, Aaron Morton in third. Good surge right in once they passed the 80-meter point to put some pressure on Spencer Anderson from Tristan Miskia. And Tristan is a junior, just 1 grade above Spencer Anderson. And he's also a hurdler. He's returning from an ankle injury. And he, like Spencer Anderson, also a sprinter. So that first 55 showed that they were close before Anderson separated. And then the additional pressures we see here as Anderson closes out the first heat in the 200. Second boys 200. Inside lane position, Finn Fleming of MBS. And it should be in lane 3, Ruben Tate of MBS. Laksh Patel of Gill will be in lane 2. Freshman Harvey Tripp, lane 4 for Gill. And Dylan Weaver should be in lane 6. And actually we have 6 runners here for Heat 2, so someone else has jumped on for MBS. Indeed, a full house for Heat 2 in the 200 boys. Finn Fleming of MBS finishing in second. I think that was Drew Weaver in the outside position for Gill. That finishes first with Laksh Patel running on the inside. But this 200-meter Again, run in the one in the first 25 meters. And great explosion off the blocks. And we have a third heat for the boys 200. Four runners ready. Lane 2 will be the lone Gill representative, Zachary Benko. And he's a freshman. Caleb Ordauer of MBS is in lane 1. And that was Zach Braun of MBS that captured the third heat. Also running with Gavin McAvoy and Caleb Ordauer. So now we head over to the 800-meter girls. 8 events scheduled, plus shot putting events, high jump events as well. So the 800 girls officially does not have any girls representatives from either side. So the 800 boys will be one heat. And this is scheduled for 5 runners, including Charlie Shepard, who's gotten a good half-hour rest. So Charlie will double up his best event from 400 to 8 with Zach Levine and Jacob Tinkleman. Zach Aycock and the lone Gill St. Bernard's representative will be James O'Brien. And indeed, we have 5 representatives, so James O'Brien will be the second from the left. And Charlie Shepard will be kind of second from the right in what would be lane 4. Though in these distance events, the lanes don't really matter. You can just go right into a spot immediately. So underway in the boys 800. 2 laps around the track will be followed by the 55-meter boys and girls, the 3200 boys and girls, and conclude our broadcast with the 4x400 relay races, boys and girls. And the 4x400 at the moment looks like it'll just be a Gill event, so they'll be running against themselves to set a new time. Through 1 lap in the boys 800. It's Zach Levine first, Jacob Tinkleman second, James O'Brien of Gill in third. And this is big separation for Zach Levine. And he increases his pace and a healthy 20-meter advantage as he comes down the final 100 now. Levine followed by Tinkleman. O'Brien will be in third. And this one decided just about the first 400 meters. And the pace was set. Charlie Shepard fourth. Zach Aycock finishes fifth in the boys 800. So now we get ready for the girls 55-meter sprints. And a lot of the same names.
Final call for the boys and girls 55 meters. All 55-meter runners should be down by the start.
This time the start line for these shorter sprints is to our left, same where the 55 hurdles takes place. You can see how the athletes are trying to stay warm. While this is not atypical because, as I said, they are practicing outside often. But still, when it's sub 40 degrees, and dropping with each 15-minute segment, it is difficult, and at times you'd rather be in an event right away just to kind of get your body warm. 55-meter girls, Nyla Gordon-Crocker, senior for MBS. She'll be joined by Tess Hanlon as the lone MBS representatives. Crocker finally healthy, and that has held her back with injuries the last couple of years. Very serious in both dance and ballet at MBS. Tess Hanlon, she's also just back from getting the virus. She hasn't run in 2 weeks. So for Tess, this is her return. Three-sport athlete at MBS as well. She's got a varsity lacrosse season to look forward to, and varsity soccer that she's also played at MBS in her 4-year career. So this will be a full house for the 55. MBS has added someone else that I can't see, but we'll have Emma Hercules, I think, in lane number 3. Kellen Bucheri will be, or was scheduled in this race too. They're set for the 55-meter girls. And it is a total of 5 with Nyla Crocker-Gordon in the middle. Bucheri in lane 4 wins this sprint. Gordon Crocker finishing second. So a fantastic showing for Kellen. And that'll be our lone girls heat in the 55. The boys 55 should have 2. Full house for lane 1. This side of MBS, all 6 lanes were able to be cleared. No ice of any kind, so we can run a full 6 lanes for these sprints that are under 200. Actually, 2 more here for the 55 girls. So Gill had an overflow with both runners from the Knights program, and that concludes the 55 girls. .55 boys getting ready. It'll be Aaron Morton of Morristown-Beard in lane 1. I see Laksh Patel of Gill, lane 2. Sophomore Spencer Anderson of Morristown-Beard is in lane 3. So the 55 boys will be a total of 5. And Anderson, this is his best event. The only question is the time, as he is chased by Tristan Mischia, who finishes second, and Morton looks like got third. But Anderson has already broken the school record 55 indoors, finished third in Morris County, and he could compete for the podium for the upcoming championships in the indoors. He beat his school record in the 55, a 6.72 then. December 30th, a couple weeks earlier, he was 6.80. Your times will always be a little bit higher in the outdoor. And the second 55, 5 MBS runners, including Ruben Tates, and Finn Fleming was on the inside with Caleb Ordauer and Jawad Travis. And I think we'll have a third heat actually lining up for another 55 boys. Actually, here is Heat 3. Actually, Caleb Ordauer will be in it. So that's the finale in the 55 boys. 3,200 is next. We'll have girls and boys. 3,200 girls was scheduled to just have 3 Gilsane Burners runners, including freshman Emma Hercules. Emma is a distance runner coming off of her first varsity letter. Cross country, had a great season. And Shelly Labar can put her anywhere from 400 to 3,200, very high on Emma Hercules' future. Also Michaela Kroon, who is a senior distance runner. Recently a track athlete, only came out for outdoor track in the spring of 21 after being primarily a tennis player early in high school. And the third is going to be Ellie Rosland. The Rosland twins are on this Gill team, Ava and Ellie. Ava will run this event in the 3,200. So because we have just a total of 6, it is going to be a mixed unit. So Hercules, Ellie Rosland, Michaela Kroon, 4 Gilsane Burners are the 3 girls. And 3 boys, 2 of them from Morristown-Beard are Will Kuppenheimer and Andre Chabra. This is Chabra's strongest event. And there's actually a male representative in the 3,200 from Gill, and that's going to be Will Strong. Will is in the gray sweatshirt. So Andre Chabra starts out in front, and he sets the pace in the 3,200. Total of 8 times around the track. So this is grueling. And on a cold day, at the end of the afternoon, usually the 3,200 is also run later in the day too, rather than early. So you're never completely fresh if you're a distance runner. Most times you've usually run something else. So Chabra with Kuppenheimer right behind him. That remains the story in the first lap. Will Strong is in 4th. And one of the Gilsane Bernard's girls is in 3rd once I identify who exactly that is. Junior Andre Chabra just extending and nudging further ahead of Will Kuppenheimer as we complete lap 2 momentarily and 800 meters through. Rather, it's beg your pardon, Chabra in first, and actually Will Strong is in second. So it is Kuppenheimer going with the sweatshirt, and he is the one in fourth. So it's Emma Hercules that trails the two boys in third. And fifth in this race, Michaela Kroon. And Ellie Roslin in sixth in this mixed 3,200 meter race. So Chabra maintaining that lead that has been trimmed down further by Will Strong of Gill St. Bernard's. Chabra has completed 3 laps, 1,200. And Will Strong, less than a second behind him. Freshman Emma Hercules maintains her spot in third, representing Gill. Michaela Kroom is in fourth. And actually, it was just 5 runners, so Will Kuppenheimer did not run here for MBS. And it was Jacob Goldklein in 5th place that's running for Gill St. Bernard's. Well, here's the action with Will Strong having made his move as we approach the midway point of this 8-lap, 3,200 meter event today. The 4x400 will conclude our coverage. Neither Will or Andre Chabra are in the 4x400, so there's nothing to save energy for. And we'll see if Will Strong can keep up this pace. Three laps complete. Will Strong in front. Chabra ran the 1,600 earlier, while Will Strong did not. Will Strong he was in the 200 meter, so a sprint. So that's certainly a difference maker. And we'll see if Chabra, slow and steady, wins the race, is the strategy that will overtake Will Strong of Gill St. Bernard's. Will Strong about to lap his teammate from Gill. He continues to maintain the lead of Andre Chabra. 4 laps in. And Strong coming up on passing Ellie Rosalind, and he and Chabra both do. And now Chabra making his move. So past the middle stage of this 8-lap race, and here is Chabra side by side, and now past Will Strong. Chabra still in front. Chabra led the first 2 laps. He's now in front, and now Strong has pulled out. Will Strong has pulled out, and that could be a cramping issue. So it's Chabra by himself. If he takes a peek behind his shoulder, it looks like Will Strong is going to pull out. And there is Will just as he crossed the finish line for lap number 5. He immediately pulled up. And that's it. That is in the territory of cramping for a distance runner. So for Andre Chabra, it is just the pace that he sets for himself. And Chabra now about to pass Jacob Goldklein, who was running 5th in this 3200. So Chabra will have a real opportunity to lap everybody else, as Will Strong is done through 5. And that certainly had to be a cramp, as Goldklein has been lapped. Chabra continues, and now Goldklein has stopped. Well, that's what it takes on a very frigid day. The dedication it takes just to last this long, you take your hat off to them. And as Scott McCormick, his coach, describes, Andre has put a lot of time into this event, along with Will Kuppenheimer in training. And your main obstacle is yourself and your desire to continue to go out there on frigid days in the winter. You're mainly outdoors. There are very few facilities around where you can get in at your leisure. So you're mainly running outside against the elements. And to practice for a 3200, you're putting in runs of over 15 minutes of this kind of pace and distance. So we're past 11 minutes for Chabra. And on this frigid day, it's not so much winning, but it's surviving. Meanwhile, the 3 girls from Gill St. Bernard's, Emma Hercules, Ellie Rosalind, Michaela Kroon, they're still going. The 2 boys from Gill have had to pull out, injuries and exhaustion. So Chabra has completed his 3,200. And lift to tell about it. And this is freshman Ellie Rosland, and she'll have another lap to go after this. And reaching the finish line as they ran side by side together, freshman Emma Hercules of Gill St. Bernard's and Michaela Kroon, a senior. So they made it the distance. Great future from Emma Hercules and what she's able to do from a distance perspective right now, so early in her varsity career. And now the 3,200 will just wait for Ellie Rosland to conclude, but it's a victory just to make it through on this cold day.
Final call for the 4x4 relay.
Final 200 meters or so for Ellie Rosland. And Ellie set a pace for herself very early, and she has stuck to it. Meanwhile, the coaching staffs are gathering together their 4x400 meter relay teams. They clap in freshman Ellie Rosland of Gill St. Bernard's. She makes it through the 3,200. So the event started with 6 runners. It finished with 4, with Morristown-Beard's Andre Chabra outlasting Will Strong. Will Strong, after 6 laps, had to pull out. And Chabra ran unopposed for the last 2. And it was just a matter of him racing to his high standards as he crosses the finish line in the 3,200. So now the teams will get organized for the 4x400 girls and boys. Now Emma Hercules is scheduled to run one of them, one of the legs, and be the anchor from Gill St. Bernard's after just completing the 3,200. And that is a very rare turnaround to go from a distance runner to a sprinter. And that's how talented of an athlete and future Emma Hercules has. Well, she will get perhaps 5 minutes of rest to try to be ready to sprint the final and key and important final 100 meters. So from Gill, it'll be Chris Kolb that will lead it off. Chris is a freshman. His sister Mia Kolb is also on the team. She is a senior. Chris Kolb in the blue Gilsane Bernard sweatshirt. He's in lane 1. And in lane 3, it'll be Tristan Miskia for Morristown-Beard. So we'll start with the boys 4x400 relay. Miskia will be handing off to Aaron Morton. And James O'Brien will get the handoff for Gill St. Bernard second. Off in the 4x400. 1 lap around, each 4 times. So Miskia sets the pace. He is out of lane 3 in the gray sweatshirt. And Miskia is going to provide a very healthy lead for Morristown-Beard. Scott McCormick describes him, first of all, as a great athlete that is running indoor and outdoor track. And he is a worker. He's just so naturally talented athletically. They put him in the shot put because they had a need, and he nearly matched all the regular Morristown-Beard shot putters in terms of distance. This is a bit of more of a distance run for Miskia, who's more of a sprinter, but with his power and long legs, he creates an advantage here for Aaron Morton, which is about 200 meters. So Morton gets the handoff. Morton, a senior that has a baseball season coming up, varsity baseball outfielder and pitcher. And O'Brien still waiting for the handoff. So Morton's lead is 250 meters by the time O'Brien got the handoff. Second leg of the 4x400. Aaron Morton typically will sprint 55 and 200 meter. And he's gotten himself into great shape ahead of the baseball season. Hopes to have a strong year for Coach Shepard. So Morton will hand it off here for Spencer Anderson. And Anderson now with an advantage of 300 meters as he takes off as Harvey Tripp, the freshman for Gill St. Bernard's, awaits in the third leg. James O'Brien, more of a distance runner. He is going to hand it off right now to Harvey Tripp. Meanwhile, here is Spencer Anderson as he is turning the corner for the final 100 meters. And he has increased this advantage for Morristown-Beard up to an even 400. They're on polar opposites of the track. So Anderson will give it to Charlie Shepard in the final event of the day on the boys' side. So Charlie's now put on the sweatpants and the sweatshirt. Ben Spinowitz is waiting as the anchorman for Gill St. Bernard's. So Shepard first started out in a strong sprint. And again, it's still a 400-meter advantage, 1 full lap for Morristown-Beard, as it is Harvey Tripp just now getting the handoff. And Spinowitz is off. Shepard, and then we'll turn back into a sprinter for the final 100. Tristan Miskia really set the tone as the leadoff man for Morristown-Beard. And he made it easy for Aaron Morton. And then Spencer Anderson in the 3 spot. It's a very good 4x400 unit for MBS coach Scott McCormick. Here comes Ben Spinowitz. And that lead was maintained up to about a 400-meter advantage. 1 full lap around. And maybe Gill cut into it as Harvey Tripp had a good leg run. Tripp was able to cut into it maybe by 25 meters. But it is very rare to see in a 4x400 to see one team be so many more meters ahead of the other. Here's the finish from Charlie Shepard. Or I should say the advantage was about 200 meters, so polar sides of the track. So the 4x400 boys is completed. Gill St. Bernard's did have a 4x400 meter girls team ready, while MBS, I believe, did not. And indeed, that will be all. So Gill will not run opposed in the 4x400 girls. They were scheduled to have Angie Bonaventura, Sam Leo, Emma Hercules, and Ellie Rosland in that. But it is so cold and running unopposed, you can understand that it is grueling in these conditions. Congratulations to the 8 class of 2020 seniors on Senior Day for Morristown-Beard. They had their indoor home meet, which is a very rare thing to have at Morristown-Beard. They got a chance to host it. And thanks to Gill St. Bernard's for coming out here today, too. They did not have school on Friday or practice on Saturday. And the Gill team getting together. Despite the cold weather, there was a question mark whether or not this event would even happen today based on the weather forecast. But indeed it did, and we are certainly happy that the Morristown-Beard seniors were honored and their friends and families were able to be here to witness them and get through today's events ahead of more championships coming up and meets in February. My thanks to Simon Rosenwasser, our producer and director here at Morristown-Beard. For the athletic director here at Morristown-Beard, Joanna Zama, my name is Ralph Bednarczyk saying so long and goodbye. You've been watching Morristown-Beard track and field, their winter indoor season outdoors against Gill St. Bernard's on the Play-by-Play Sports Network.
Yeah, maybe like the short sprints. I would say like Anderson at the short sprints because that's easy. Anderson number 3, yes, Spencer Anderson. What are they doing over here? Like, is it the softball field they ripped up? Yeah. And it's like those were like. I'm
calling
doing
vote,
that.
you're doing that.
Yes.
Tomorrow is prep hockey. It's going to be too close for me to call, so I'm going to call that. And,
Where is it taking